My name is Peter Parfitt, and in the next few minutes I'm going to be telling you about Hitachi's latest impact drill driver, this one, the DV18DSFL. It's an 18 volt lithium ion machine with 2 ampere hour batteries. Now in the box you will get the drill itself plus 2 batteries, the charger and a handy little tool. Plus, of course, the guarantee and instructions and the box for carrying it in. Now, I'm going to start by giving you a guided tour of the machine itself. The machine is fitted with a 13mm chuck which has plastic grips. It has a torque control here with settings from 1 to 22, and the maximum torque that is available with this machine is 43 Newton meters. The torque control can be turned into the drill position for drilling into wood and metal, and it can be turned into the hammer position for drilling into concrete and brickwork. There is a speed control here, which is either high or low. There's a direction control button here, which is either forwards or reverse, and it's available from both sides of the pistol grip. There's a speed control trigger here. Now this is quite sensitive, as you can see. It has a belt hook here, and then the battery is released by pushing these 2 spring-loaded catches and sliding it forward. And this is the new standard of battery being made by Hitachi now. It's the slide-on lithium-ion battery. And all the 18 volt slide-on batteries, whether they're 2 ampere hour, 3 ampere hour or 4 ampere hour, will fit this machine. You also get a second battery and of course the charger. Now this charger receives the batteries like so, and when it's plugged in, the light will give you an indication of the charge status of the battery. It will take about an hour to recharge a battery from flat. Now in the instructions, Hitachi specify that this machine will cut up to 32mm in wood, 13mm in metal and 13mm in brick. And those of you that know the way I go about testing things, well, I think it will be tested beyond the 13mm in brick. I'll try this 20mm bit, and in wood, rather than the 32mm, I'll see whether it can handle a 50mm Forstner bit like this. And I think that will be a good test. Of course, we mustn't forget that this is a drill driver, and so I'll be putting in a few screws just to make sure it can do it. I don't have a 32mm Forstner bit, but I've got a 35mm one here, and I'm going to put it through this block now, and you'll see that it manages with absolutely no problem. I'm going to deliberately cut at this edge so you can see the progress through the block. Well, that's pretty easy, isn't it? Well, I think we should give this a more realistic test, and let's see how it manages with this big 50mm bit. I'm not expecting it to do it particularly easily, so we'll just give it a go. I think you get the idea. Now, not that you'd want to use a machine like this for putting in a 50mm Forstner bit every day of your life, but at least it does demonstrate that if you have to do that, it can do it. I will be putting in some big screws into this block in a minute, but let me just draw your attention to one thing. It's not always the big screws which are the difficult ones. Sometimes it's the small ones which need the delicate touch. And I'm putting in a 3.5mm screw here, and I just want you to see just how much control I've got using this trigger. Now that's absolutely perfect control. Because sometimes it's getting in those little screws which are the real nuisance. And so there we go, you can do it. Well, now it's time to put in some larger screws. Let's see how we get on. I'm not going to screw into my bench, that would be silly. I'm just doing this sort of fairly randomly, but you can see this machine has absolutely no trouble whatsoever putting these screws in. Let's try something a bit bigger. Well, this shouldn't be a problem. You'll now see why I've got that hole there. So there's absolutely no problem. This drill driver will handle the big stuff, the small stuff, and the holes with no problem at all. But what about masonry? Well, here we go. 13mm bit. I'm in the hammer position. Speed is on high. Let's see how it manages. No problem. I think we should try something just a little bit bigger. Right, those are my two 13mm holes. I'm now going to try this 20mm bit in a fresh piece of this hard concrete block. Seems to be okay. I'll try another one. Well, I think that's pretty conclusive. That's pretty good, isn't it? So it can handle both what it says it does, the 13mm, and this 20mm with absolutely no problem at all. Excellent. Well, that's just about the end of this short review of the new Hitachi machine. Now, this machine has been a joy to use. I've had it for about 3 weeks and I've used it for all sorts of little jobs in the house. And it's got a nice, easy grip. It's one of those typical Hitachi soft grip holds, which is rather good. Everything is easy to operate. The batteries, I mentioned that it comes with the new slide-on batteries. Now these are interchangeable, and I just happen to have here a 3Ah battery. Works perfectly well. And I also have the 4Ah battery. Works perfectly well. And so if you've got any of the new Hitachi machines, you'll find that all the batteries are interchangeable, provided the voltages are the same. So that's really good. You've seen how I've drilled holes in wood, I've drilled holes in this rather nasty bit of concrete block, and I've put lots of screws in. And this machine has not had a problem with any. Now this machine in the UK is retailing for about £155, including VAT. And that's with the 2 batteries, the charger, and also the carrying case and so on. Now when I compare that to the cost of my original drill driver with hammer action, which I got about 15 years ago, and this is the Hitachi 12 volt machine, and it had nickel cadmium batteries. The batteries weigh almost half as much again compared to these new lithium ion ones, and yet these have double the power of the old Nikons. So technology's moved along a long way. This machine is still going strong, but this machine is just so much better. It's ergonomic, it's nice to hold, you can use it all day. I've been very pleased with it. I've been using it for 3 weeks and I'm very impressed. The only thing that I found very slightly difficult was the chuck because of my arthritic wrists, but you young chaps out there, you will manage this with absolutely no problem at all. It's a good machine, I recommend it. Christmas is coming up, why not treat yourself? Thanks for watching, bye bye.